Yeah, I did it. I ain't even gonna lie, I did it. Now some people might question how I did it. Oh, Delilah, did you call the barber? Delilah, did you cut it yourself? Isn't it funny how people get remembered? You see, before I get to the end, let me start at the beginning of the end. There was a man. There's always some man, isn't there? And his name was Samson. And Samson, a man of Yahweh, sort of. He was the Jews' Hercules. He could do whatever he wanted to do, go wherever he wanted to do whoever he wanted to do. And Samson, well, he fell in love with me. Can you blame him? And when he did, it was in the valley of Sorek. And Sorek, I should have known. I should have known the name itself was prophetic. It sounded like the name of a mother combing her daughter's hair. If only I'd known then. But when he came and he fell in love with me, I knew he was different. Now, I didn't just know he was different because he was different. I knew he was different because the Philistine leaders then began to take an interest in me, at least in the daytime. And they took an interest in me because Samson had killed 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. I mean, come on. The jawbone of a donkey. Of course they were upset. Of course we were upset, right? Me and my people, because they came to me and they said, Delilah, trick Samson into telling you the secret of his great strength so that we might tie him up, overpower him, and subdue him. And I thought, boys, I've already tied him up before. But then they said, we'll each give you 1,100 shekels of silver. And I thought, what's a girl to do? I mean, I was proud to do my duty for my country to get rid of this donkey jawbone killer. Or something like that. So, when Samson came to my house that night, I said, oh, Samson, baby, why don't you tell me the secret of your great strength? Oh, he loved that. And I said, Samson, please tell me so that I can tie you up. He loved that too. And so he says with a straight face, without missing a beat, he said, if you get me 7 catgut bowstrings that have never been dried. I thought, catgut? What kind of kinky is that, Samson? Oh my goodness. But he said 7 catgut bowstrings that have never been dried, and you tie them around me, I will become as weak as any other man. I couldn't believe it. That was easy. So I thought, okay. But then I caught myself, oh, okay. All right, Samson, I will get those for tomorrow. And so then tomorrow came. And when tomorrow came, I went to the Philistine leaders and I told him, he told me, ain't I good? And they got the 7 catgut bowstrings for me. And they said, we're going to send some of our men to come to your house to hide in one of the rooms so that when he is subdued, we can come and overpower him. So that night came and Samson came in all brooding and bad. And I said, oh, Samson. It was disgusting. But he comes in and I said, Samson, let's do a little bit of role playing. How about you be you and I'll be me. And let me tie you up. And then when I shout, you have to come save me from the Philistines. He was all about it. So I tied him up. And I tied him up good with those disgusting things. And then I shouted, oh, Samson, the Philistines are attacking. And wouldn't you know that man just got up like it was nothing, like they were just strings that had been scorched by the fire, snapped like that. And I thought, wait a minute, he's playing a game with me. Which was fair, I was playing a game with him. And so he gets up out there and I said, Samson, you're making a fool out of me. But then I caught some dumb story about ropes. He said, you get 7 ropes that have never been tried. And I tie him up again, and he breaks them again. I'm like, what am I going to do with this man? So then, we go around a third time, right? We go around the third time, and as we come around to this time, he says, well, if you take my hair, you know how it's long, right? I'm thinking, do I know how it's long? Boy, you could go into a fight with just your hair and whip your hair back and forth, okay? Please, of course I know it's long. But he goes on, he says, if you take my 7 braids and weave them into the loom and bring and nail my hair against the wall, I will become as weak as any other man. And I thought, well, maybe. I mean, if nothing else, it's a little bit more difficult than the last few times, so, but I knew this was going to require a little bit more than a role play. And so, that night, I proceeded to lull Samson to sleep on my lap, if you know what I mean. And Samson falls asleep, and as he does, I bring him over to my loom, and I nail his hair against the wall after I have wrapped it in this loom. And then, I didn't know what else to say other than, Samson, the Philistines are attacking! And wouldn't you know that boy just busts right out of that loom, nails and all, and I'm like, boy, you broke my only loom. And after that, I had it up to here. I had it, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with this man. And so I said, Samson, you don't love me. You won't tell me the truth. That got him. You know how that gets him. But it didn't get him all the way, because he still didn't tell me. And so you know what I did, ladies? I do what we do. I kept on, and 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 I kept on. And you know when you keep on, and the man starts going his hand like this, like, get out of my face, woman! And I'm like, oh, we wouldn't have to do this if you would just tell me what's up. And he wouldn't tell me. I'm like, seriously, Samson? And we go back and forth, and finally he says, I'm a man of Yahweh. Man of Yahweh? The Jews, God? A man of Yahweh? I mean, this was going on inside. I was thinking, you don't act like a man of Yahweh. You don't talk like a man of Yahweh. You don't move like a man of Yahweh. Even I, a Philistine woman, can see that much. But he goes on. He goes on and says, and I am a Nazarite, and my hair has never been touched by a razor. If you cut my hair, I will become as weak as anyone else. And I knew that was the moment. I knew that was it. And I went to the Philistine leaders this time, and I told them. And when I told them, they sent their men, and they sent my money. And they came to my house. And that night, when I had lured Samson to sleep on my lap, I didn't know what to do with that moment or that money. I called in one of the Philistine leaders, and this time, in the middle of the night, in the stillness of the night, the Philistines were attacking. But the attack sounded like the blade of a razor wicking one braid after the next braid, after the next braid, until finally it was gone. And I shouted, Samson, the Philistines are attacking! Almost hoping that he wasn't telling the truth, but he was telling the truth. And they took him, and they put him on the slave rack, and they gouged out his eyes, and I couldn't watch. But what I could not watch, even I could see, that being a man of Yahweh was more than the hair and the fame and the clothes and the money. It was the dedication of your life. But there was one little problem that we all forgot. See, the funny thing about hair is it grows back, right? So, Samson, he went on about his new position. We went back to our positions. We went back to our routines. We went back to our worship. We went back to what we knew, to our gods. And when we got to the temple one day, they had called Samson out to entertain us. I hadn't seen him But I looked over and I saw a handsome man with a good haircut. But then I realized who it was. And he could not see, but I could tell that he could see something else, an opportunity. And it looked like he was praying and leaning up against the temple pillars for support. But as he was leaning, and before I could even call out, "Samson!" he had pushed the temple pillars down, and they all fell down. And you know what's funny? I played a game. Samson played a game. But in the end, Yahweh won. Yes.